And she picks up the phone, and he's like, listen to me, bitch. If you hang up on me again, I'll fucking gut you like a fish. She's like, oh my God. Oh, jeez. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content in my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games. I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video.
Everybody's a suspect!
You're not scared, are you? Scream.
But chat, let's go ahead and get into this review for Scream. Before we continue on with all the nitty-gritty details, I need to ask you a very important question. That question being, how many of you have seen 1996's Scream, directed by horror aficionado master chat, Wes Craven? Very curious about this. Very curious about this. Also, Scream 2 is honestly the only good Scream sequel. Yeah, the ones I've seen, I agree with you. Starring Drew Barrymore as the lead lady, or at least that's what the poster would have you believe. They tricked you. They tricked you. They did indeed. They did indeed. And the work I've seen, I think, or at least most of it, Victor Necrophone, good to see some juicy, and his juices. Ooh, you're my juices, chat. You're my juices. You came out of me. If Rascal, I have Chris Harris so many times. For the longest time, it was my ultimate horror franchise. Rock Birdie, I think I saw it in theaters. Guess what? Yes, a handful of times. I've seen it on Netflix 2 years ago. I like the specificity of that answer. Edgy Berserker, seen it. Didn't like it when I first saw it, but I'll give it another chance. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Appreciate that open mind. Axel, Scream brought it. It did. Victor Necrophone, I have, and it was one of those kids that end up getting the mask. I had this mask. I went as the Ghostface Killer. I feel like anyone who was born in the 90s and went into the 2000s, or like was born like the early 2000s, we all dressed up as Ghostface at one point in time. Like, I dressed up as the Ghostface Killer. My friends dressed up as the Ghostface Killer. Chat, we watched these movies. Especially in the mid-2000s, we were like, these are so cool. We love that. That's when it was weird. Like because after I'd seen Alien at 10, which I guess was like in 2000 or something, I then started to consume all sorts of horror media and a lot of slashers, especially when they would come on like A&C. It was all the edited versions. They were very PG-13. We were going hot and heavy with that R, almost approaching NC-17 rating, like Skeet Ulrich wants to do with Nev Campbell's character. And I started watching all these with friends, and so we became obsessed with Halloween franchise and Nightmare on Elm Street. We were watching Friday the 13th and obviously Scream, which we considered the king of the slasher chat because they were so much fun, and because they were funny too. That's the thing about the Scream franchise, especially at least the first two. I imagine, and the third one, of course, the ones that I've seen. These are very satirical. And unlike a lot of slasher films, they deconstruct what a horror movie often has. Wes Craven, as I said before, he took the piss out of himself, where he's like, okay, I know what I've created. I understand this genre, and I'm going to go ahead and show everyone what often happens, with a certain character, with the female characters, and who you think did and who didn't, and certain things people say. And if you say this, or if you have sex, or you do, drugs, or if you drink alcohol and you fucking die. I love how he examines these films and he puts it all out there on a platter chat for us to enjoy. It's a nice little feast. It's very funny. That's why I've always Scream. Listen, it's very, very much a thriller, but it's very satirical. It's having a laugh, Chad. It's having a laugh, which I think is why this movie has aged so incredibly well. There's some dated stuff like do you have a cellular phone? Everyone says a cellular phone, not like a cell phone. Cellular, which I think is so funny. But no, it is infinitely charming. You have an amazing cast of people, just really talented, young. And they kill it. They kill it. Even some of the veteran actors they bring in here, they do a really good job. It's Wes Craven. He wrote a comedy, and I think he did it effectively. I would say this is not only one of the best slasher films out there. Definitely, I think it's in the conversation of top 5 at the very least. But this is one of the best horror comedies out there. There's no doubt about this. So I'm a big fan of this movie. Brief background about the film, chat, in terms of like it's a box office success. Made for about $14-15 million, had a box office $173 million. Scream 2 came out the next year. I think it did even better than the original movie. When it was originally coming out, it had all sorts of controversies, chat. Parents groups were upset about this film, about the alleged violence in it, which apparently, I mean, it is violent. It's very bloody. They famously couldn't film at certain places because of the content. Like, they got kicked out of the school they originally filming the movie in when Henry Winkler, when he was threatening the students, not actually threatening the students, but like in the scene, because he was so upset with them about how they were acting. This movie, it's famous. As I said before, it's famous for revitalizing the horror subgenre of slasher films in the 90s. And then, not at any fault of its own, you had all these knockoffs, all these clones, urban legend. I Know What You Did Last Summer that just copied the formula and then killed it again. And it's been brought back. Horror still exists, chat. It goes through a metamorphosis at a time. You can't keep horror down. The genre will always continue on, chat, with different filmmakers, with different ideas. But it'll always still live on. And I think listen, for every bad horror film we get, and there's a lot of bad horror movies, we always get like some exceptional ones too. We always get some amazing ones. Even like in our day and age, chat, we always get something like Get Out. We always get something like Halloween 2018. Always something like A Quiet Place for like a creature feature. Like the genre continues on. And Wes Craven, to speak of about he's one of the great horror directors, chat, of all time. Like him and John Carpenter certainly, especially working in the same era, in the 70s and 80s and into the 90s, and never, I think, thoroughly appreciated until much later. And I'm glad Wes Craven later in life got the respect that he deserves, especially with the Scream franchise. I think Scream, like, not like he wasn't a legitimate filmmaker, but Scream like really shows like this guy knows his shit. And even before Scream, I forgot to mention, Shay, even before Scream, Wes Craven already did a Scream-esque film in New Nightmare. He tried to do it with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, where he tried to take the piss out of Freddy Krueger, where it was a very deconstructive film, where it was a movie about how the Nightmare on Elm Street series, originally he just thought of it as one feature film, the idea of the serial killer that haunts children's dreams. Very original when you think about it, especially the time period it came out in, when everyone was just like a regular slasher. Freddy kind of was like, oh, you expand the medium. How that franchise just became so heavily marketed, and it became all about the money, and it just meant like we're just there to pump out a new movie to make sure that we keep the brand alive. Like, that movie makes fun of that fact. But the thing is, because the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise was so overdone at that point, people were just fucking sick of Freddy Krueger. The movie sadly bombed. It was a commercial failure. But, it's been reanalyzed and, praised. And I consider it to be one of the, miss me, great fucking line. Like where Robert Englund is both, he's playing himself and he's playing Freddy Krueger in the movie. It's brilliant. And, he realized, like, I want to still do this. I want to still make a deconstructive horror film, but I need to do something completely different. That's when he created Scream, because of New Nightmare. He's like, I want to prove to people what I was trying to say, and he did it. And his legacy is just being reaffirmed, chat, many times over, much like other filmmakers like him, like John Carpenter. But I just want to give the man his respect, chat. But we're going to go ahead and get started, chat. We start in the beginning in a farmhouse, chat, in a very opulent fucking farmhouse. What's the fucking Drew Barrymore's family do? You live out in the country, you're growing corn, you're growing okra and shit. Apparently you can earn a shit ton of money, chat, growing corn and okra, all right, wherever the hell they are. But Drew Barrymore, she's spending an evening at home, and she hears the phone ring, and she fucking picks up the phone, and she's like, hello? And this person's like, hello? Who is this? And she's like, well, you called me. You should tell me who you are. She's like, I think you have the wrong number. He's like, I don't think so. Hey, wait a minute. No, I want to talk to you. And she fucking hangs up. She hangs up. She's like, out of sight, out of mind, all right? She goes to the kitchen. She puts some fucking popcorn. It's those tin popcorn shit in the tin foil, not like you put in the microwave, because you'd put it in the microwave, the house would have fucking exploded. But she puts one of those. But by the way, anytime you see these fucking tinfoil popcorn poppers on the oven in a movie, it never works out. It's always gonna burn, Chad. This is like I saw in Annabelle, and I saw in this movie, and I imagine that is often the fucking case. Your granddad's popcorn. No, thank you, granddad. I'd rather you not burn down the house, especially in a horror film. That's always a warning sign, chat. That thing's gonna explode. The kernels are gonna get embedded in someone's face, or it's gonna set your a house on fire. It's one of the two: embedded kern kernels or whatever, or a house on fire. But the guy calls again. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I think I called the wrong number again." And she's like, "It's okay. It's just kind of weird and stuff." He's like, "I want to talk to you. Do you want to talk to me?" She goes, "Okay." It's like, why do you want to talk to this guy? What the hell? But she just starts talking to him. She starts talking to this guy who sounds like this. And eventually the conversation goes into, what are you doing tonight? She's like, "I'm going to make some popcorn." And she's like, "Popcorn? I only eat popcorn at the movies." And she's like, "Well, I'm going to be watching a movie. And I'm going to have some popcorn with it." He's like, "You're going to have popcorn with anyone else?" "No, I don't have a boyfriend." He goes, "Oh, that's too bad. What are you going to watch?" And she goes like, "I don't know, just a movie." "Oh, you like scary movies?" And she goes, "I guess so. I mean, sure, whatever. Do you have a favorite scary movie?" And she goes, "I like the one with, Halloween. The one with the guy in the white mask who's just chasing those big boobed babiesitters. That one's really goes, yeah, that's a really good one." She goes, "What's your favorite horror movie?" He goes, "Oh, so many." And he's like, "Why don't you take a guess what my favorite horror movie is?" And she's like, "I don't know. What about the one with Freddy Krueger? Nightmare on Elm Street. I love that. It's a good one." "Yeah, but the first one is good. All the other ones suck," which, is notable. For Wes Craven to say, because he notoriously is like, even though he did do a script for Dream Wars, they did not use it. And he obviously directed New Nightmare. He has a very big, love-hate relationship with the rest of the franchise. He didn't make any fucking money on those other movies, Chad. They didn't use any of his ideas. So he's like, "Yeah, fuck those films." So that was very much his going, "Yeah, fuck you, Nightmare." Dream Warriors is great. I love Dream Warriors. Maybe tonight you'll be gone. Nightmare 1, 3, and New Nightmare, that's the trilogy, Chad. You don't need to watch any of the other ones, in my opinion. I mean, you can watch 2 because this is a big gay allegory, really. I mean, it's like, wow, it's a very homoerotic movie. So you can watch that just for the sake of history. But he's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Yeah, that one really sucks. I don't like," or she's like, "I like that one, but all the other ones suck." And he goes, "What's your name?" And she's like, "Why don't you tell me your name?" He's like, "Come on, I want to know the name of the girl I'm looking at right now." And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "I want to know the name of the girl I'm talking to." And she's like, "That's not what you said. You said you're looking at me." He says, "Listen, don't be scared." He's like, "I gotta go, okay?" He's like, "Wait, don't hang up on me." And she hangs up on him. She's like, "Oh my fucking God." And she's like, "Oh Jesus." And Drew Barrymore, she goes, "By the way, I will never have a house where all the doors are just made of glass. Every fucking door." That makes you feel really unsafe, Chad. Every goddamn door is made of glass in here. Just big as like, I can just fucking step and just punch that fucking glass through, Chad, and then attack you. That's what I would do. But she starts locking all these doors, even though they're all made of glass, Chad. Like, I could throw a rock at it and be like, "All right, I'm inside." Easy fucking peasy. Oh, if a tornado went through, you'd be dead. Because the tornado wouldn't be the thing that would kill you. It'd be the glass shards that go inside your body. Just like, oh, that's what would kill you inevitably. But she goes around the house and locks all the very brittle glass doors, chat. And then the phone rings again. She hears a knock on the door. And she's like, "Oh my fucking God." And then the phone rings. And she's like, "Oh." And she picks up the phone. And he's like, "Listen to me, bitch. If you hang up on me again, I'll fucking gut you like a fish." She's like, "Oh my God." Oh, jeez. And he's like, "We're going to play a game." She's like, "Listen, you have to fucking hang off the phone right now, okay? Because my boyfriend, he's really big and he plays football. He's gonna kick your fucking ass." And he's like, "Your boyfriend, huh? You told me you didn't have a boyfriend." He's like, "Well, I do. I lied to you because you're really scary and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, you mean your boyfriend, Steve?" And she's like, "How do you fucking know Steve?" He's like, "Go to your patio." And she's like, "Oh God." And she goes to the patio, the back door patio. He's like, "Turn on the light." And she flips a switch, and we see Steve just like, oh. He's all tied up, Chad, duct tape around. It looks like he got the shit fucking kicked out of him. It's like, ooh, Steve's had a rough night, Chad. Poor fucking Steve. Juicy on a Saturday night. You like scary movies? You want to be my new squish? Oh my God. And so she sees this. She's like, oh my Steve. He's like, okay, let's play a game. She's like, no, I don't want to play a game. Oh my God, please. And he's like, we're going to play a game. It'll be easy. Movie trivia. And he's like, oh my God. She's like, okay, horror movie trivia. Here, we'll do a warm-up session. Something easy for you. What's the name of the killer in Halloween? She's like, I don't know. He's like, you don't know. You just told me Halloween's your favorite movie. Oh God. Michael. His name is Michael. Very good. You got it. Okay. Here's the real question. Oh no. He's like, who's the name of who's the killer in Friday the 13th? And she's like, oh God. Tick tock. Steve needs your help. She's like, okay. It's Jason. Oh, sorry. That's the wrong answer. She's like, no, what are you talking about? Jason's the killer in Friday the 13th. I've seen the movie like fucking 20 times. He goes, no. Jason doesn't turn up into the sequel. If you watch the movie, you would know that his mother, Pamela Voorhees, is the real killer. Wrong answer. And she's like, oh God. He's like, but don't worry. There's a bonus round for you. But Steve, I'm afraid his time has run out. And so we cut to Steve, who's like, oh fuck. And we just hear this, like him just getting gutted, just pooping all over him, just poop and pee and guts, like shitting out intestines. And fucking Drew Barrymore, she turns on the patio light, and Steve's just like, his tummy, Chad, his tummy is just all in his lap and on the patio floor. It's like, oh my God, oh geez, Steve. And so he's like, are you still there? She goes, you killed my boyfriend. He was like really hot and we were going to have sex and stuff. I know, but I have a question for you. Bonus round. She's like, okay, what is it? It's like, if you get it right, you live. If you get it wrong, you die. And he's like, okay, well, what's the answer? What's the question? And it's like, it's a simple question. Where am I? And she's like, oh God, Jesus. She's like, I'll make it easy for you. There are two main entrances to your house. Am I at the front door or am I at the back door? Now, this might be like, I'm going to say back door because you just killed my boyfriend. You just gut him like a fucking fish. But Drew Barrymore is too traumatized at this point. And she's like, no, I'm not going to play this stupid game. I'm so scared. He goes, suit yourself, bitch. And then he just fucking throws like a chair through the house, Chad. And she fucking bolts. She takes off running, Chad, through the house. And we see the Ghostface killer. And I love that the Ghostface killer, how he runs. Because he's all arms. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to get you, bitch. He's like trying to stab her and shit. His arms are always up. And he's always like doing this little dance. I fucking love it. I love it. But she's running. By the way, the popcorn's on fire. That thing is fucking bursting throughout this scene. I told you, Chad. I told you the whole fucking house is covered in smoke. She grabs like a fucking kitchen knife, Chad. By the way, there's like an earlier scene when she's talking about scary movies, and she's like playing with the kitchen knives. And I love how it's like when they mention Halloween, she like grabs the kitchen knife, which is, that's Michael's MO. His modus operandi, Chad. Always uses that kitchen knife to stab a fool. And so she fucking takes off. Goes in the back of the house. Lee's as the Ghostface killer. He comes inside. He's looking for her and everything like that. And she sees down the road, past the corn and okra fields, her mom and dad's car is coming by. He's like, oh, they were gonna check on her before, I guess no, they're coming home for the night. And she's like, oh my God, there they are. She's like, oh God, Mom and Dad. And then she like turns around and there the fucking Ghostface goes like, how you doing, bitch? And she's like, oh Jesus. And she fucking takes off running, Chad, but he fucking bursts right through there, grabs it, and she's struggling with a knife and he's slamming her arm like into the window slit and getting all caught up. She's like, oh my God, jeez. And she fucking takes off running, Chad. She takes off running, but he gets a hold of her. He gets a hold of her chin and goes, right when the parents are like, come at the drive, he just fucking stabs her, chat, right in the boob. And once you get, ladies, now quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is a fact. Once you get stabbed in the boob, your voice doesn't work anymore. Voice taken out, your voice box, that's where all the vocal cords are stored in the bosom. And so he stabs the left bosom, chat. Vocal cords just done. Just take it out. Stissy man, think of the 450s. So, she kicks him. She fucking kicks him, off of him. And his parents are going up to like, oh, did you remember to water the fucking flowers over there? What? That's what I believe that's correct. Because, and I'll explain why. I believe this is a fact. Because as she's going up to her parents, and she's like a good distance away, she's like, Mom, Dad. Like, I think she's just so traumatized, she's like blew her fucking voice out. And she's like, ah! And he just fucking grabs her, and the parents walk in. Parents walk in, Chad, because they see the smoke alarms going off and everything, and smoke, and they see all the destruction. And Ghostface, he turns Drew Barrymore over. He just starts stabbing the shit out of her, Chad. Stabs her other bosom, stabs her in the tum-tum, Chad, just over and over and over again. Still has the phone in her hand. Mom finally gets the popcorn. I was concerned, Chad, about the popcorn. Punctured the lawn. Maybe it was the lawn. That could have been. Yeah, I say so. I think you're right. I think that might have been a line. My mistake, Chad. The vocal cords are not inside of the bosom of a lady. So, but Ghostface going to town. Mom thankfully puts out the popcorn fire, which was my biggest concern in this movie so far. I was like, well, what about the popcorn? I don't want them to burn this. This is a very lovely house, Chad. Too many windows, obviously. But I was concerned about that popcorn setting fire. And you just see Ghostface just dragging Drew Barrymore. She still has the phone in hand. And you see the mom, she picks up the phone because she's like, what's your other phone? And she's listening to her daughter being like dragged on the ground. And the dad's like, honey, don't panic. Just go to the neighbors. And apparently they live like a mile away from the neighbors. And then call the police at this point. Okay, we'll get it all figured out. But as soon as the mom steps outside, she's like, ah! She starts screaming like this howl. Chad is like, oh, this mournful, howling, motherly scream. And we see that Drew Barrymore has been hung from like the tree in the front yard, this big old willow tree, with all of her guts ripped out, Chad. Her tum-tum, her small intestine, large intestine, pancreas, all that shit just right before her feet, Chad, just looking like, ah! And then it cuts. It's like, what a fucking opening. What a goddamn opening to a movie film, Chad, to a horror film. But it's like, this is interesting because Drew Barrymore, she was the big known actress in this film. Everyone else was relatively unknown. And maybe they've been other things, beforehand. But she was the known entity. And you kill her in like the first 10 minutes, Chad, but it's like, it's shocking. It's shocking. It's so goddamn the way you measured the way she stabbed. Just a motherly howling scream, huh? That's what she's doing, like, my baby. It's like that mournful scream, But then we cut, Chet, and we're with Neve Campbell, who is looking so cute in this movie, Chet. She is a cutie patootie and a half, and she's doing what any responsible young lady would be doing, Chet, doing her homework on her Windows 95 computer, Chet. She's on you see the screensaver and everything, Chet, using her Apple II or whatever. But she's on there, and she's typing away and doing all that stuff, talking maybe as someone on the Skype chat. And but then she hears like a knocking on her window, and she's like, "Who's that knocking on my window?" And she goes to the window, Chad, and when we see him, Chad, it's Skeet Ulrich, and he's there. He's like, "Listen, Neve, I'm like really horny, and as your boyfriend, we need to have the sex." But she's like, "Jesus, Skeet, you can't like just show up here." And this guy's name is Billy, which is such an appropriate principal character horror name. There's always a guy named Billy. Where's Billy? Is he okay? But we're going to call him Skeet for the sake of convenience, Chad. Good old Skeep. AOL Messenger, whatever. I don't know. I guess it was AOL Messenger. But he's like super fucking horny. But Neve, she screamed because, when Skeet would decide to scare her, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, because then we hear the dad, he's coming. But this is cool. But Neve Campbell, there's like a lot of great foreshadowing to certain things, but Neve Campbell has her closet door is like right next to her, the entrance to her bedroom door. And she's positioned the closet door so if the person were to open up her bedroom door, it would get caught on the closet door, so they can't open it all the way. They're like, oh, fucking shit. And so it's like, it preempts dad from entering and discovering a very horny discount Johnny Depp or very horny Skeet Ulrich chat. And he goes, he's like, "Neve, honey, is everything okay? I heard you scream." She's like, "It's okay, Dad. I was just working on homework, and I was just, so frustrated. Homework is hard." And he's like, "Oh, I understand. Okay, because I just heard you screaming, and I know that the day is coming up." She goes, "Yes, the day, Father. Yeah. Well, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be going on that trip for like a week, and I'll be back next Sunday. I'll be at the Hilton near the airport. I know, I have the phone number. Okay." And he's like, "Okay, well, I love you, honey. And he gives a nice little platonic dad kiss on the cheek, Chad. Very adorable. Very, he's very careful, very caring for his daughter. He goes to the fucking ringer in this film, Chad. Don't worry, we'll see Mr. What's his name? Prescott. Because this is Sidney Prescott, chat. But we'll see him later on in the film. He goes through a lot. And then, Nev Campbell, she closed the door, and, fucking, Skeet Ulrich, he's playing with, like, her fucking stuffed animals. He's like, oh, Sydney, I love you. Make love to me, Sydney. She's like, Jesus Christ, Skeet, can you just, like, fucking stop? He's like, listen, I'm going to go on a monologue right now, okay? I was just thinking about you, and I was watching The Exorcist, like you were thinking about me while watching The Exorcist. Yeah, I was. See, the thing was, it was on TV, and they edited out all the really good stuff, and it got me thinking about our relationship, back before the event, before your mother. We were, like, going pretty hot and heavy there, Nev. We were, like, rated R. Pushing it to like an NC-17. But then after the event, we've been like PG-13 at best. And she's like, well, I'm just been really busy and I've been overwhelmed and school's been hard. And he goes, listen, I know. I just want to come and see you because when, Linda Blair vomited, it just made me think of you. Remember our vomit play? Remember our NC-17 vomit play, Nev? I miss that. But I don't want to do that. I figured like, hey, let's just do some on the clothes, action. Clothes on, some like dry humping, like definitely tongue kissing, but just dry humping, kind of sexual activity. And she's like, that sounds really hot. And so they just start, dry humping on the bed, chat, but he wants a little bit more. He wants a little bit more of that Nev Campbell. He wants a taste, chat. And so he's reaching higher and higher on that thick Nev Campbell thigh, chat. And she's like, no. And he's like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. He's like, all right. Well, I'll see you at school, okay? And she goes, yeah. And he goes to the window. And she goes, hey, Billy, hey, Skeet. He goes, yeah, how's this for PG-13? Woo! And she shows off her bosoms, which we do not see, by the way. We do not see Nev Campbell's bosoms, chat. He goes, whoa, you're such a tease. And she is a fucking tease. She gives him the most serious case of blue balls throughout this entire fucking movie. Now, he deserves it in the end. But at the same time, it's like, my lord. She's like, remember when we were just kind of dry humping and wouldn't let you do anything? Here's my boobs. Bye! And she shuts the window. Then chat's the next day. And we go to high school, where it's filled with a bunch of 25-year-olds for some reason. Don't know why, Chad. I guess they were held back a few years. But we see all the police are there. They got, don't cross. We're going to be doing interviews with people. And Nev's like, what's going on? And then we're introduced to Rose McGowan, Chad. She kind of plays like, she's supposed to be the quote-unquote ditz of the movie. She's the one that's kind of a little slutty. She doesn't wear a bra. You see her nipples, especially in that one fucking scene, Chad, in the last 50 minutes of the movie, where she just wears that yellow sweater and just boing, it must be cold in that house. That's all I'll say, chat. But she's there and she's like, oh my God, Nev, you didn't hear it? She goes, what's going on, Rose? She's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking Drew Barrymore was killed last night. Her and her boyfriend, Steve, were gutted on her property near the okra fields and the cornfield. She's like, near the okra fields? Yeah, I love okra, especially when it's fried. But they died. And so now they're like doing interviews to see if like anyone is the killer or something. And, Nev's like, oh, geez. And, and Rose is like, I know a lot of this just must remind you of the event. She's like, yeah, it does. And so then everyone sits in class and we see Drew Barrymore, because Nev mentions, I sat next to Drew Barrymore in class. We weren't like friends or anything, but she was always really nice and pretty looking and stuff. And then she sits down, but there's no Drew Barrymore, chat, because she's dead. And then this officer comes in and hands like the teacher a note, and the teacher reads it. She goes, well, Nev, looks like it's your time to go for the interview. And so then she goes, chat, to the principal's office. Principal Henry Winkler, chat. Can we give a hand to Henry Winkler? An amazing actor, the Fonz. Hey, the Fonz is the principal, chat. He was the coolest kid in the school, and look at him in chat. He's teaching education to the kids now. But he's there and being very handsy. I noticed this. Like, he's very like, hi, how you doing? How you doing, Nev? Doing okay? Like, he's like touching her face and like, hands off, dude. What are you doing? Like, I get it. Because he knows, because he went through the whole thing with her, as we learn about the event, chat, which we'll find out in a bit. everything that's been going on. With with Nev and the trauma and shit, when something happened in her family. But he's great in Bear. He's so good. He's been a little bit creeper. Like he means well. He clearly means well, but he's just like, okay, Bear. We gotta have a fucking middle ground. He would get me too, but I don't think he ever did anything to a student. I don't think so. Henry Linker wouldn't do that. He doesn't deserve what he gets either in the film. I was like, oh, that poor son of a bitch. They go down there, and we see the sheriff of the town, and we see Deputy Dewey, played by David Arquette. I fucking love Deputy Dewey. He's so funny. And he's like, hey, how you doing, Nat? She's like, how you doing, Dewey? He's like, you can call me Deputy if you wouldn't mind. I'm trying to increase my self-respect. And she goes, okay, Deputy. And, the sheriff's like, listen, Nev, I apologize ahead of time for bringing you down here. This is just Pro Deaf and Black Dude 9785. Thank you for the gifted sub to Mellows. Ooh, Mellow Seducer. I love that name. Thank you, Devin Black Dude. An absolute pleasure to have you. You're currently reviewing Scream. Introduce the character of Deputy Dewey, played by David Arquette. We got the sheriff there. We got Henry Linker being very handsy with Nev Campbell, but they're all apologizing. They're all apologizing to her and saying, like, listen, this is protocol. We just need to interview every single student. And we know that the anniversary of the event is coming up, but we just wanted to just alleviate you that you're not in trouble or anything. We just need to do this. She's like, no problem at all. No problem at all. Eventually, chat, we cut. And we're introduced to the rest of Nev's friends. They're sitting out like at this fountain or something, fucking Skeet Ulrich and her are all handsy and stuff. And, Nev is like sitting in Skeet's lap. And we see Rose McGowan's boyfriend, Matthew Lillard, who's just an idiot. He's constantly joking with a very young and baby-faced Jamie Kennedy chap about the whole thing, and how Jamie Kennedy even asks, is like, hey man, weren't you fucking like dating, Drew Barrymore? He's like, yeah, for like 2 minutes, but I broke up with her. And he's like, that's not what I heard. I heard she broke up with you. And then Rose McGowan's like, wait a minute, you told me that you broke up with Drew Barrymore to get with me. He's like, oh, looks like I'm caught in the middle here. I mean, come on, Jesus. And then they go into very specific detail about like the murder. And then, Jamie Kennedy and Matthew Lillard just joking about how she was killed. She was strangled with her own intestines, her liver, her pancreas, her lungs were stripped from her body, and all that shit. Devin Black Dude, thank you so much. How many biddies was that? Let me go and thank the specificity of those 13 biddies. Thank you. How are you? Are you looking forward to the new Scream movie? You know what? I'm a big fan of 1 and 2. I wasn't a big fan of 3. I haven't seen 1. I've never seen 4. But I am looking forward to it because it's made by the Ready or Not people. So yes, I'm looking forward to watching it and then reviewing it for you guys. Doing a non-spoiler review eventually. And thank you for the biddies, my friend. I don't talk about Shaggy. Listen, I'm going to talk bad about Shaggy because he's acting like an asshole through most of this movie, along with Jamie Kennedy. Although you warm up to Jamie Kennedy's character later on in the film. But then oh God, Shaggy makes Zoink Scoob. He starts making like really bad jokes about Drew Barrymore's like body parts and how her liver was delivered. And then Nev's like, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm leaving. I'm upset. And he's like, what did I say? Don't you get it? Liver delivered. It rhymes. Am I right? And fucking Skeet's like, way to go, man. Tact. Learn what tact is. Okay. He's like, what? I don't understand. And so they leave. Eventually, she's like, just liver alone, man. It's like, oh my God, these two fucking morons. Eventually, Nev, she goes back home. Rose McGowan, she's going to come over. They're going to have some fun and stuff. Going to pick her up for a girls' night. But good old Nev, she's got to do some errands. She got to do some chores. Dad's out of the house, so he can't do all the stuff. So she's been doing it. She's a very responsible girl, Chad. Very responsible girl. She's doing some laundry. She goes downstairs, open a closet. Whoa! God, scary thing falls out of the closet. But it's not a killer, Chad. It's not a killer. But is it foreshadowing? Might be. And she puts it back in the closet, does the laundry, and she sits down for some good old-fashioned 1996 television chat. And she turns the fucking TV set on, and who do we fucking see? Her mom, her dead mom, chat. And apparently it's going to be the 1-year anniversary when Liev Schreiber murdered her mom. And the reason why Liev Schreiber, he's currently awaiting the final verdict in his trial, chat. He's trying to make an appeal in order to avoid the death penalty. But it was fucking Nev Campbell's testimony that put him in there to begin with, chat. And she sees this. She's like, no, bad memories and stuff. And so she turns out the TV. She doesn't even want to know about it. She doesn't want to hear about it. And so she decides, I'm going to take a little nap because I've been a little stressed out. All this murder happened, all this dead mom shenanigans. Fucking, goddamn Shaggy and Jamie Kennedy. Malibu's Most Wanted just messing with me. I'm going to take a nap. It's like, good for you, girl. You naps, chat. Listen, as a 30-year-old man, I'm on death's door, as you guys know. I got one foot in the grave at this point, chat. So I'm all about my naps. I need my energy in order to do these reviews for you guys. So good for you, Nev Campbell. But she takes a little nap and she wakes up because the phone rings. And who's on the goddamn phone? It's Rose. It's good old Rose McGowan. She's like, listen, I'm going to come by. We're going to have like a lot of fun. And we're going to, do our nails and shit. Girl shit. I don't know. And she's like, okay, that sounds great. And so she hands up the phone. But then the fucking phone starts ringing again, and she picks it up. She's like, hello? And he's like, how you doing, Nev? And she's like, is this fucking, like, Matthew Lillard? Or is this Jamie Kennedy? And he goes, no, I just want to talk to you for a minute. And she goes, okay, what do you want to talk about? He's like, do you like scary movies? She's like, I do not like scary movies. He's like, why don't you like scary movies? And she's like, because they're all the same. You always have a big-breasted bimbo who always decides to run up the fucking stairs instead of going out and calling for help. It's insulting to women. He goes, oh, that's too bad. I really like to get to know you a little bit more. She goes, why? I like to get to know the girl that I'm looking at right now. She's like, who the fuck is this? Who are you? And he's like, why don't you look outside? And she goes to the front door. And she opens it. She's like, I'm fucking out here right now, okay? If this is Matthew Lillard or this is Jamie Kennedy or even Skeet Ulrich, you better not be doing this, Skeet, all right? You better not be doing this. Hey, what am I doing right now? What am I doing right now? She's like faking picking her nose. He's like, yeah. I'll call your fucking bluff. You see me? You see me? I don't think so. Motherfucker. And then she goes back inside the house. But she's like, there's Chris, why don't students listen? They never fucking listen. They never listen, chat. But as soon as she goes back inside, boom, the fucking Ghostface killer is inside the closet, chat. He was there foreshadowing, but it was the spoopy closet. And so it was meant to scare you because, of course, the killer would be in the closet. But then you're like, oh, it's a joke because we saw something fall out of the closet. So there's no way that Wes Craven would then do that, but he fucking did. And the Ghostface killer's like, I'm gonna get you. And she's fucking like, I'm gonna run up the stairs. And she does just what all those big-breasted dumb bimbos, chat, her words, not mine, chat, do. She goes up the stairs. She fucking fights him, though. She fucking fights off the Ghostface killer. Nev ain't no, she's a fighter. She's a fighter. And she goes up the goddamn stairs, chat. She's fucking duking and weaving and dipping and dodging and shit. And she goes in her room and she does the door trick, chat, because the phone she can't use the phone at this point. I think he hits the phone out of her hand, so she can't do anything. I think he cut the phone lines at that point. And she goes in her room and she does the closet trick and he's like, fuck, how do I get in here? And she uses the Skeep, or in this case AOL Messenger, to call the police, and Ghostface is like, fuck, and he just gets out of there. He gets out of there. But once she dials, she hears someone tapping on the window. Who is it, Chad? It's good old Skeet Ulrich, good old discount Johnny Depp. He's like, fucking, Nev, Sydney, what's wrong? And she's like, there's like a fucking killer in here or something, and I've got really scared and shit. And he's like, it's okay, come here, let me hug you. And he's like hugging her, but then, Chad, while they're in mid-hug, like little hug, like that little nuzzling hug, it's like, oh, it's so cute. Something falls out of his pocket, Chad, and it's a phone. It's a cellular phone. She's like, why do you have a cellular phone? And she's like, you're the killer. And then the police arrive and she runs down scared. She's like, oh my fucking God. He's like, Nev, come back. It's not me. I'm not the killer. And she opens the door. And we see Deputy Dewey. He has the mask. He goes, ah! He fucking screams. And he's like has the gun pointed right at her too. It's like, no, that's not what you should do. If you notice in the movie, chat, David Arquette constantly has his finger on the trigger, like always. It's like, you should not be a police officer, Deputy Dewey. You're not. I think isn't he a fucking sheriff in like the fourth film or something? Or the third film? But he's like, oh, Nev, are you okay? And so then the police, they arrest Skeet on, the grounds that he possibly assaulted and tried to murder good old Nev Campbell. Put him in, he's like, fucking Nev, it wasn't me, I didn't do it, you know me, I'm horny. He's like really horny. At this point, the worst that we can think of Skeet, he's just really fucking horny all the time. But And they put him in the cop car and they drive him away. And then fucking Rose, she finally like stops right there because she's like, oh my god, I'm late. I'm so sorry. Jeez, what the fuck happened? And she's talking to Nev. And then fucking didn't Courtney Cox show up at one point? Oh yeah. I think Courtney Cox and her guy, she's like this porter. She's a reporter. She's like this Enquirer, National Enquirer-esque reporter. And she gets there, but like everyone's leaving. Like Sydney and Rose, they go into one of the cop cars and they're being driven to the station for questioning. And then Courtney Cox is like, what the fuck? Jesus, Kenny, get your fat ass out of here. He's like, hold on. I'm eating Cheetos. It's like, you do not interrupt Kenny, chat, when he is eating Cheetos. Okay? All right? He needs to eat. He needs his sustenance, chat, in order to film things. And so by the time he fucking lugs his ass out of the goddamn car, everyone's gone. And she's like, listen, Kenny, when I tell you to hustle, I expect to get your 50 pounds overweight, obese ass out of the goddamn car and film me. Okay? She's like, I was eating Cheetos. I know you were eating Cheetos, Kenny. Happy 25 Wow, 25 years. That's fucking nuts. 25 years. It's true, Bach. It's true. And so poor fucking Kenny, chat, he gets it bad in the movie too. He gets it real fucking bad. He just wanted to eat Cheetos, chat, and Fritos and shit and potato chips. That's all he wanted. So after that, we cut to the police station where David Arquette is, by the way, David Arquette is the brother to Rose McGowan's character. They're brother and sister duo, chat. But David Arquette, he's talking to Sydney, or Nev Campbell's just telling her like, listen, we're gonna take care of everything. But I'm gonna what's your dad's number to the hotel? Because then no one's used to having a cellular phone, chat, in this day and age. And so she's like, this is the number of the hotel. And he contacts the hotel, and fucking Deputy Dewey, he says, no one's checked in under your dad's name. He's not there. The hotel confirmed, like, his reservation is still open. And he's like, are you sure that's the hotel? Do you know where else he might be staying? She's like, I don't know. That's all he gave me. And he goes, all right, well, listen, we'll find your dad. Don't you worry. And apparently they have something with the mask. Like, they're going to look at the mask, and he leaves. And then Skeet Ulrich is just in the sheriff's office. He's just like... He's just fucking looking at Nev Campbell like this the whole time. And the sheriff's like, oh, Skeet, I know you're horny, but I need to ask you and your dad some questions, okay? And he's like, okay, what do you want to know? He's like, why are you sneaking into Nev Campbell's window tonight? He goes, well, I just want to see her. I just want to check up on her. And she goes, yeah, okay. She says that she found a cellular phone that fell out of your pocket. Did you use that to call Sydney and harass her? He goes, no, you can check the phone. You can check the fucking phone records. I didn't use that phone, okay? Obviously, he's like, okay, we'll look at that. We're gonna. He just wants him to fucking give up everything. He's like, we're looking on that. They're looking on that. Sydney also tells us, Nev Campbell also tells us that you were also sneaking over to her house and through her window last night. And fucking Skeet's dad's like, what? He's like, oh, Dad, I had urges. I was watching The Exorcist, and we got to that moment when Linda Blair was like vomiting, and I was like, this reminded me of Sydney, and I want to go see Sydney. And he's like, we gotta talk about this at home, son. And, at this point, well, listen, Skeet, we got to hold you overnight because we got to find out what the hell's going on. We have people, that have been murdered, okay? We got 2 dead kids, okay? And we got this person, Ghostface Killer, matches the description, the mask that we found on the premises. We got to hold you overnight. And so at this point, everyone, Skeet's like, they put him in cuffs, and he's walking right by Sydney. He's like, Sydney, Nev, I wouldn't do it. It wasn't me. You fucking normie. I'm just really horny. He's really horny, chat. I believe that. I definitely believe that. So eventually, David Arquette stops by. He's like, listen, and Rose is there. And all the press, I think, is out there, too. Like, all the press has showed up at the police station at this point. And, they're going to go out, but then the sheriff's like, no, I'll take you out the back so you can escape the media circus. And Deputy Dewey's leading Rose and Nev Campbell out. But fucking, Cox, Chad, good old Cox. She got her a sixth sense about these kind of things. She knows they're going to use that back entrance. So Courtney Cox and a Cheeto fisting Kenny waddle back to the police station. And she's like, excuse me. Excuse me, Nev Campbell, I have some questions for you. Is it true that your boyfriend tried to murder you tonight? She's like, okay, listen, you here, bitch. Listen here. And she's like, okay, whoa, take it easy. What's wrong? And she's like, you have been involved in so many cases around my life, of my mother. She goes, yes. And she's like, and you have the gall to write a book about that? She goes, yeah, do you want a copy? And fucking Nev Campbell goes, bah! Hits her right in the fucking face. She's like, ah! Courtney Cox just falls down, knocks over poor fucking Kenny, Chat. He can't get up. He's like a fucking turtle, Chat, just stuffed full of Cheetos. He's got a tummy full of Cheetos, Chat, so she lays them both out. And, Deputy Dewey is like, fucking nice right hook. And so eventually takes him back home where Rose and Nev, they're all dressed in their jammies, Chat. And certain things I think are, on multiple rewatches, we don't know, like, you notice certain things. Well, I suppose like the first rewatch, like Rose McGowan is definitely playing like the slutty best friend. That's kind of the type. Even though she's intelligent, like she's not stupid. She's not stupid, but she has like the look where she's not wearing bras, fucking, it's like, is it cold in the room? Is there a draft or something? But she is intelligent for the most part until one key scene. But you do notice certain things with her character where she has the twin beds. Nev is laying down one bed, and you notice that Rose McGowan has a stuffed rabbit, and she's just like thrusting into this rabbit. And I'd never noticed it until like on this most recent rewatch. Yeah, she's like, she's fucking that rabbit because she's so horny. She's like, yeah, she's just doing this the whole time. And it's this big stuffed blue rabbit just like, yeah, give it to me, baby, give it to me. It's like, no. Eventually, Deputy Dewey, he comes in, he's like, listen, guys. She's like, get out of my fucking room, okay, Dewey? He's like, listen, can you just give me some respect? I have low self-esteem, Rose. She's like, whatever. He's like, I just want to let Nev know that I'll be in my room. Okay, if you need anything, I'll be there. She's like, she doesn't want anything that you got in your room, Dewey. He's so fucking sad. And he goes back to his room. But then their mother comes over. She's on the phone. And she's like, oh, there's a phone call for you, Nev. And she's like, is it my dad? She's like, I don't fucking know who it is here. I don't fucking know. Devin Black, dude, thank you for the 15 biddies. It wasn't that rabbit. Yeah, there it was. Oh, I know some mealy 12-year-old me figured out what it was. See, I never noticed that until like yesterday. I was like, oh, fuck, I see what's going on here. But she hands the phone to Nev, and she takes it. She exits out of the room. And she gives it to her, and she walks away. And Nat picks it up. She goes, hello, Dad, is that you? He goes, how you doing, Sydney? Had a great night last night, you bitch. And she's like, who the fuck are you? I'm gonna fucking kill you, Jesus Christ. And she's like throws the phone down. And Rose and the mother are like, oh, it's okay, honey, it's okay, hugs. And then Deputy Dewey picks up the phone, he goes, hello? Hello? No one on the line, no one on the fucking line. And eventually, Chad, we cut back to the next day. We're back at school, and everyone's just acting like pieces of shit at this point. Like everyone's like, yeah, fucking Ghostface Killer is killing kids and harassing students. Woo, let's fucking party. It's like, why? Chad, what I tell you, kids have no sense of morality. It needs to be taught. If there's a vacuum, there's an absence of proper tutelage of morality, you get little psychopaths like these. I'm on Henry Winkler's side in a bit, Chad. I was like, yeah, fuck them kids. Fuck them. They need to learn, Chad. They need to learn the hard way, okay? My way or the fucking goddamn highway where you'll probably get murdered and gutted. That's the way it's got to be, Chad. So, Nev and Rose and everyone else. Oh, yeah, also it's reported that, like, Billy was released the next day, too, because, they checked the cellular records, Chad. That's the thing, yeah. They checked the cellular records. And Billy did not make any of those calls. Ski should not make any of those calls. He's like, oh, shit, look at that. So he's back at school, too. And he wants to talk to Nev. But Nev and Rose and everyone else, they go there that day of school. And we see Courtney Cox is there as well. And I think she's been talking to, like, Dewey and stuff. They're having, like, conversations and that kind of thing. Kind of flirting back and forth, establishing a romance chat. Dewey, he's got a baby face. He's only 25 years old and on the force. Look at that. Good for him. But Nev goes over to, to Courtney Cox and like, I just want to apologize for like punching you in the face, okay? But you've said some like really horrible stuff, all right? About my mom. And Courtney Cox is like, listen, don't fucking hit me with what I'm about to say, but I think you put an innocent man in jail. She's like, you talking about fucking Liev Schreiber? Yes, I'm talking about Liev Schreiber. And she's like, have you talked to him? I've talked to him many times, okay? And he holds true to his story to this day. He's like, well, I saw him, okay? He raped my mother and he murdered her. He says he admits that he was having an affair with your mother. He admits that he had a sexual liaison with your mother that night. All right? But he did not murder her. She's like, yeah, he had I saw him with the bloody jacket, had my mother's blood on it. He said that you didn't actually see his face. You saw someone who was wearing that jacket that was covered in blood exit your home. But you could not tell the court that was indeed Liev Schreiber. And yet, despite all that, he's being sentenced to death row anyway. Okay? And so, yes, I'm interested in this news case that you're involved in. Yeah, I think that's when she mentions that everything about Billy, that just came out, that none of those messages were connected to that. She obtained the information, so it's like, oh, shit. Okay, well, looks like it's a case of mistaken identity then, Chad. So they all go inside at this point. And the school is just acting like a bunch of assholes at this point. Like Rose and Nev, they're talking at their lockers. And, fucking Shaggy from Scooby-Doo is there. And he's kind of acting like a dick. And you just had these fucking asshole teenagers just run down, like dressed up as the Ghostface Killer going, bitch, 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 and doing all that shit. And Nev's like, oh my fucking God. And Henley Winkler, he gets fucking pissed. He gets pissed. He's like, you two, get in my fucking office. And he grabs these two goddamn kids, throws them in the office. And he's like, you pieces of shit, you think this is fucking funny? You think this is fucking funny? And he takes like a giant pair of industrial scissors shit. He just starts like cutting the mask up. He's like, let me tell you something. You fucking kids, you have no respect. Your generation has no respect. Now, what that poor girl went through, who I was touching kind of in an inappropriate way, all right? She deserves more respect. She deserves your sympathy, not to endure your tortures. I'm going to tell you right now, you guys are fucking expelled. You're like, what, fucking Principal Winkler? That's not fair. He's like, yeah, well, life's not fucking fair, okay? It's either my way or the goddamn highway. So get your keishers out of my school. And apparently it was this scene that prevented them from filming additional things in the school. Because I guess the school board saw this because I think that was part of the deal. Is in order to film there, Wes Craven had to provide the dailies because there was like a big concern of this movie. It's like, this is going to, and it had like fucking faux controversy. People were attributing an increase in murders in the 90s to Scream. And it was like, it's ridiculous. But I think Wes Craven had to provide the dailies to the school board to see what they were actually filming on school grounds. And he showed them that scene of Henry Winkler and they go, get the fuck off of our premises. So they couldn't finish filming, I think, a lot of the stuff there. So they had to like cut around it. And that's why like the school's like in the last third, like, of the movie, the school's just gone. That's where we're at the house. There was supposed to be more. There were supposed to be additional scenes at the school, but they had to cut them out because of that scene. So it was like, damn, it's like shit. So it was not one over like the murders and stuff. It was over Henry Winkler threatening a student with looked like a pair of. I mean, he is fucking like he puts the scissors right next to the kid's chest and shit. But it was over that scene. It was a little fun fact for each, a little horror slasher fact, but. Nev is really upset about all this, and she starts walking away. But who does she bump into? The Skeetster, Skeet Ulrich. He goes, hey, Nev, it's good to see you. Listen, he's like, I don't really want to talk to you right now. And he's like, I know that, but I'm like really, really horny. Okay? I didn't jerk off for 3 days, and I really want to talk to you about it. He's like, no, I got to go to the bathroom. He's like, I could watch you. She's like, no, you're gross. And so she goes to the bathroom, Chad. She's like trying to compose herself, like, oh my God, oh my God. And then we hear these two girls in the bathroom in the stalls, and they're just talking shit. Apparently, one of these girls was the girlfriend at the time of Skeet Ulrich. I think it's like the brunette girl who wanted to put her in the movie because he was in love. Chat. Oh, that's adorable. I want my girlfriend in the movie. And Wes Craven's like, sure, buddy, and put her in the movie for him, which I thought was really cute. But these two girls in the stalls, they're just like, like, oh my God. It's like, can you believe, another person is like almost gonna die in our school? She's like, yeah, I totally think like Nev is making all this up. I mean, everyone knows that her mom was a total slut. And she's like really just laying into her mother. She's like, yeah, she was like boning every single fucking guy in town. Everyone knows it except Nev. And it's like, I didn't know that. I'm glad we know now. And we just hear him farting like, yeah, can you believe? Just a gross conversation. But Nev, she sneaks into the handicap stall, chat, and she just hears him going back and forth. She's just like her mother. She's going to be a total slut. She's like, no, she's a prude. She doesn't even give it to Skeet Ulrich, and he is such a fucking hottie. Like, oh my God, yeah. I would totally like let Skeet Ulrich bill me. You would? Oh my God, maybe you could do it like together. Absolutely. That'd be so hot. Yeah. And then they fucking leave. And she comes out and she's like, oh my God, everyone hates me. Everyone thinks my mom's a slut or something. This is awful. And then, chat, we hear someone just pooping and shitting in the toilet, flush the toilet. And she's like, looks over, and suddenly we see these big fucking boots on the ground. And someone starts to lower what looks like, chat, ooh, the ghost face, like, you know, dress or whatever he wears, and the robe, Chad, it was a ghost face robe, and he bursts out. He's like, how you doing, bitch? She's like, oh my fucking God, and she fucking takes off running, Chad. She's like, no fucking thank you. She takes off running. She goes down the stairs. There's his teacher is just like, ah, jeez, there she goes. Oh boy. It's like, it's not going well. Not going well here. At this point, where are we at this point? Oh yeah, she's attacked by the killer. And this is when we get the scene of when Courtney Cox is just straight up hitting on Dewey, who's like, he seems to have like the mind of a child at times. Like David Arquette, you can't help but be, it's like, oh, you're kind of dumb, but you're adorable at the same time. So I can kind of see what she sees in him. And he clearly like respects her just because, you know, it's like, well, she's a really powerful woman and she knows what she wants. I respect that. And she's not talking down to me, which is what he desperately needs in his life. But I do like their chemistry, Chad. I know it continues throughout the rest of the franchise. And I know that they were eventually, I think they're divorced now, but they did get married. And I think they didn't have a child or something. But he's simple, but his heart, yes, exactly. He's simple, but he has a heart of gold. He means to do right by his friends and his family and his profession, which, you know, you like the character a lot. And even Wes Craven, he realized while filming that he was liking the character of Dewey more and more and more. He originally planned to kill Dewey off, Chad. That was his plan, but he did not. And he did not, Chad. Anyway, so they're fucking doing lovey-dovey and shit like that. But eventually, at this point, Henry Winkler, like the announcements come on, and Henry Winkler's like, yo, because of everything that's been happening in the school and because students have been harassed due to these recent tragic events, you fucking psychopaths, I'm canceling all classes for the rest of the week. Everyone's like, yeah, fucking party, let's go. I wish we killed more students so we can get more time off from school. Everyone's like, yeah. And it's like, oh my God. At this point, Matthew Lillard, he sneaks up on Rose McGowan, starts grabbing her butt, and, like, throws her over him. He's like, hey, fucking Nev, Rose and I are throwing a party at my farmhouse of my family. My family's gonna be gone. You want to join us? She's like, I don't know, I'm, like, really sad and stuff. He's like, come on. We'll have beer. We'll have drugs. We'll have Cheetos. And Kenny's like, Cheetos? Yes, Kenny, Cheetos. And he's like, I'll be there. He's very excited about that, yeah. And she's like, okay. Like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Then, Chad, we cut to later that night, and Henry Winkler, he's been playing with the ghost face mask, Chad. He's like going woo and like stabbing and shit in his mirror. And then he hears someone knocking on his office door. He's like, who could that be? I sent home all the students. He opens up, nobody there. Nobody there. And he turns around, and he fucking scares himself because he has the mask in his hand. He's like, oh, God damn it. And he throws on the desk, and he hears another knock. And he goes, what the fuck? And he goes to the door, opens it, no one there. He's like, okay, well, someone's messing with the Fonz here. What the fuck's going on? And then he goes to, like, down the hall and to the various, like, offices and things. And he sees, like, another door cracked open that moves. And he goes, so he's like, all right, you little fucks, what the fuck are you doing? And we see Wes Craven going, what the fuck you say to me? And this is Wes Craven's cameo, chat. He plays the janitor, Freddy Krueger hat, and Christmas sweater, chat, red and green. And Henry Winkler's like, oh, I'm sorry, Fred. No, it's nothing. He goes, he continues mopping, chat. And so it's good. Damn it, I have a shark to go jump over, right? And so eventually he goes back to his office, and because his door is wide open at this point. And so he goes in the office, chat, but the door starts to, like, close. And who's behind the door, chat? The ghost face killer. And fucking Henry Winkler turns around and goes, oh! And he starts stabbing the shit out of the Fonz. He's like, no. Oh, my God. He's stabbing the hell out of the Fonz, chat. And he falls down. He's like vomiting up his blood and his intestines and his goop. Whole bunch of Henry Winkler goop just coming out of his mouth. And you see the reflection of the ghost face killer in his eye as he, like, stabs him in the face. It's like, no, the Fonz. Apparently, the principal is not supposed to die in this. Wes Craven realized that there wasn't enough kills in the movie for a good long one, because the last third of the movie had, like, so many people were fucking getting killed in graphic ways. But he realized he needed another, like, kill for the middle of the film. And so he killed Henry Winkler. And so he got rid of him, Jeff. Oh, great. Oh, yeah, definitely. Wes Craven's cameo in this movie is great as Fred the janitor, as Freddy Krueger the janitor, chat. Really funny. But then we move on from the death, chat, the horrific death of Henry Winkler, and we're now in a Blockbuster, chat. Remember Blockbuster? I remember Blockbuster, chat. We're a video store where Jamie Kennedy works, and he's basically we start to realize that, oh shit, Jamie Kennedy like knows his stuff about horror films and like the common tropes and stuff. And he's having a conversation with Matthew Lillard about like, oh, this is a great conversation. This one girl walks up. He's like, hey, what's that one movie with the horror film that's an adaptation of Stephen King with the mom from E.T.? He goes, that's The Howling. It's over there. And he's like, he knows his shit, chat. He's having a conversation with Matthew Lillard about like the Ghostface killer and certain horror movie tropes and things. And when they see Skeet, and Skeet's just like talking to these girls. He's like wooing and charming these girls, chat, like 2 or 3 of them. And Jamie Cannon's like, well, he would obviously be the fucking killer. I mean, that has to be it. And fucking Matt Lewis's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's like, how would he be the killer? I mean, he has an infatuation with the main girl, all right? He seems to also be trying to woo those girls over there, so he's a sociopath. He doesn't care who he wants to fuck. So it's obvious at this point that Skeet Ulrich is the killer. And Skeet's just like, you talking about me, Jimmy? He's like, whoa! He's like, he goes, maybe you're the killer. Maybe you're the one that did it. Or maybe I am the killer. And maybe I want to kill you. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, you don't know. Just go ahead and stock your fucking shelves. And he's like, okay. That was a little weird. that was a moment. He's fucking Jamie Kennedy's just going off about it. Everyone's like, oh, is this guy fucking okay? Is he off his meds? He's just losing his mind. But after that, where are we now in the movie? Oh yes. So at this point, we learn from the police chat that the calls, obviously they were not made by Skeet Ulrich, but they were actually used by, there was Nev Campbell's father, his phone was the one that made the call chat, his cellular phone. And they're trying to track down Nev Campbell's dad, but they can't find him anywhere. Didn't seem to even made it to the airport. So is fucking Nev Campbell's dad the goddamn Ghostface killer, chat? Maybe, I don't know. Nia Brownie also, hi. Good to see you, Nia Brownie. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing very well. We're just at the scary parts of the movie. But now, chat, it's the big day of the party, and Dewey, he's like very protective of Nev Campbell and his sister. He's like, okay, I'm going to drive you to Matthew Lillard's farmhouse near the okra and cornfields. But, I'm going to be there just to keep an eye on it. And fucking Rose McGowan's like, whatever, fucking Dewey. Jesus fucking Christ. He's like, can you just call me Deputy Dewey? She's like, no, doofus. So he drives him to the fucking, party, chat, where Courtney Cox and Kenny, and it's Kenny, chat, because he's just throwing out all the empty bags of Cheetos out of the car as he's following behind them. But they all get to the party, and Deputy Dewey's like, okay, well, you guys have fun, but not too much fun, because I'll shut this shit down. That's what I do. And so she's like, whatever, Dewey doofus. And she grabs the beer. She's like, we're going to drink, and we're drinking illegally because we're not like 21 years old. He's like, that's a crime. You shouldn't do that. She's like, we're going to stop me? No. And so he's so sad. But Rose and Nev, they go inside the house, and where everyone's just fucking drinking and doing drugs and having sex and eating Cheetos and shit. And we go to the one room where fucking Matthew Lillard, he's all dressed up in like his father's bathrobe, chat. So he's wearing the bathrobe, which has definitely touched his father's naked body, which is weird. And he's doing like fucking, a beer funnel. He's like, look at this fucking guy. Yeah. They're fucking high-fiving and shit. And everyone's having a great fucking time. Everyone's having a wonderful talk and stuff. Eventually, we cut outside. And Courtney Cox, she walks up to Deputy Dewey, and she goes, hey, how you doing? She's like, hey, I didn't think you'd be, like, at a party here. I mean, there's nothing going on. And he's like, well, why are you here? He's like, well, I'm just here to make sure that the people stay safe, in case I got to shut the party down. Everything bad happens. She goes, well, I just I want to talk to you. And she's kind of manipulating him here. And he's like, oh, yeah, you want to talk to me? He goes, yeah, let's get a drink. Want to get a drink inside the party? I mean, come on, be like, we're like teenagers again. He's like, yeah, you're pretty. So he takes her by the hand, and they walk inside the party. Everyone's like, why the fuck you brought this fucking bitch in here? Why's Courtney Cox in here? And he's like, hi, guys, just came to check, make sure everything's going okay at the party. And we learn, chat, her and Kenny, who is he's just covered Cheeto dust at this point. He's more Cheeto than man now, chat. He gave her a camera, which she sets up. It's like an ancient webcam, if you will. It's like a 30-second delay, and she'll set it up there, and they'll be able to see inside the house yet. Like they're voyeurs, like Sweet Daddy voyeur on cams Joshua, chat. And while Dewey's like talking to people, she sets up the camera like right next to the TV, so it's kind of like, you know, out of sight, out of mind. But then she goes outside with Dewey, and she checks with Kenny and makes sure is the camera all fucking. So he goes, yes, your camera's set up. I'll watch it. 30-second delay. It's very important. She goes, great. I'm gonna go fuck this very attractive 25-year-old deputy. And he goes, go for it, girl. And so her and Deputy Dewey, they go for a nice little walk chat. Meanwhile, chat, Skeet Ulrich, he has now entered the party, and he wants to have a nice conversation with Nev Campbell, okay? Because she learned that Skeet did not make those calls, all right? And so she feels a little guilt. And, he's like, hey, listen, Nev, can we go, like, talk somewhere? And, Matthew Lillard's like, you can go talk in my parents' room. There's, like, no one in there. My parents aren't there. And they're like, yeah, let's go do that. And so they go upstairs, shit. They go upstairs. And this is a great moment in the film. Oh, actually, before this. So they go upstairs to talk. Meanwhile, Rose McGowan's like, I need some beers. Who wants a fucking beer? And everyone's like, yeah, me. She's like, cool, I'm going to go get some. And so she goes to the garage chat where we keep all the beers, apparently. We keep all the beers in the garage. And they have a little fridge out there. She goes down all these steps, opens up the fridge. She tests like the fucking garage. Sees a cat. Cat goes by. She's like, Jesus fucking Christ! And she's wearing that sweater where she's just showing off the nips, chat. Like there's a consistent and constant cold breeze going through the Matthew Lillard farmhouse, chat, and those nips are just the whole time. She's very pretty. That's all I'm saying. She's very pretty. And she goes, gets his beer. She sees the cat run by, and he goes out the thing. She's like, stupid cat. But she turns around, Chad. Who does she see standing on the steps leading from the garage to the house? The Ghostface Killer. And she's like, oh, my God, Matthew, is that you? Jamie, is that you? And he goes, She walks up, and she's like, oh, Mr. Ghostface Killer, are you here to kill me? Is that what you're here to do? Here to make me scream and go, oh, my God, oh, my jeez, oh, my Lord. And he goes, And she goes, well, I have other plans for you, okay? I want to make it to the sequel. I'm going to be in the sequel. He goes, And she tries to go up, but he fucking grabs her, and she's like, what are you fucking doing? Oh, my God. And she drops all the beers and shit. And he takes the knife and he goes, and he cuts her arm. He's like, Jesus fucking Christ. And she like starts fucking freaking out. She like starts grabbing like just handfuls of broken glass and just starts throwing them at him. And her like her fucking hands are getting all cut up. She's like like, fuck you. Hit him in the fucking face and the balls. He's like, ugh. And at this point, she hits the garage door trying to escape, chat, but the garage door is not working. And so in her mind, she's like, there's only one way out, and I got to go through the cat door, chat. And so she just goes on her hands and knees, but her bosoms, chat, her bosoms are too big and voluptuous. And it's like, oh my God, oh Jesus. And she's like stuck and stuff. And the Ghostface Killer's like, this is too fucking easy. And he just goes to the garage door, and he presses it. And so she's slowly rising up, and she's like, oh my God. And she's getting closer to the top of the garage chair. She's like, no, and it crushes her head and her big old bosoms, chat. And Rose is defeated. She's killed. But she tried, chat. She was throwing fucking broken glass at the Ghostface Killer, and he just goes back in the party, chat. He's like, what's up? And they're like, what's up? They're having a great time. Eventually, we cut to Jamie Kennedy, who is currently hosting a little spooky movie marathon. They're watching John Carpenter's Halloween chat. By the way, John Carpenter gets constantly name dropped in this film. I missed a scene earlier in the review where Nev was like a little nervous about going to the party. And Rose McGowan tells, she's just like, it's going to be fine. It's not like it's going to be like a Wes Carpenter movie, which she confused Wes Craven and John Carpenter's names and combined them into one, which happened apparently a lot, which I thought was pretty funny. But Jamie Kennedy, he's there, and everyone's like, it's like, I don't understand this movie. And they're like, well, why don't you understand? He's like, well, you're talking about, like, all these rules and stuff, and like, what, I mean, how does this work? I mean, how do I know I'm going to be, like, a victim or something? And Jamie Kennedy's like, there's 3 fucking rules, okay? There's 3 fucking rules. Rule number 1, in order to survive a horror film, in order to prevent your untimely demise, number 1, no sex. Everyone's like, what? Boo, no sex. And we cut back upstairs where Skeet and Nev Campbell are about to get it on, Chad. This isn't like on the clothes, like we're wearing clothes action. This isn't dry humping like in the first 20 minutes of the movie. Nah, Chad, this is skin on skin. This is discount Johnny Depp with the newest screen queen of the 90s shit, and they're fucking. And, we cut, so they're breaking the rule right now. We then cut back downstairs to Jamie Kennedy, and he's like, okay, rule number 2, no drinking and no drugs. We're like, whoa, fucking lame. I want to do drugs. I want to drink. And we just see fucking Nev Campbell just going, oh. Take a big old whiff of cocaine. Skeet Ulrich is just double fisting beers. Shit. I mean, that's crazy shenanigans going up there. And he says, okay, rule number 3, and this is very important. If you're ever going to leave, never say, I'll be right back. And then we see Matthew Lillard going, oh, come on, Jamie Kennedy, that's goofy. Listen, I'm going to go find my girlfriend, Rose McGowan. I'm going to get some more brewskis from my bros and my gals. I'll be right back. Woo! Once I start laughing, he's like, it's not funny, man. There's like rules and shit. Jesus. Oh, geez, Scoob. I sure hope my big boob girlfriend's alive. Ruh-roh, Raggy, she dead. That bitch is dead, Raggy. So, after that, Jamie Kennedy, he goes and he sits down with everyone else. But then the movie's interrupted. The movie's being interrupted. It's like, what the fuck's going on at this point? And there's a phone call. And fucking Jamie Kennedy, who's drunk and high as fuck at this point, he goes up, picks up the phone, he goes, what? Oh, no, that's horrible. He says, guys, I just learned that Principal Henry Winkler, he was murdered. He was stabbed to death, and his body's being hung from the fucking flagpole at our school. Everyone's like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. Henry Winkler's fucking dead. Woo! And fucking, he's like, what are you talking about? This is sad. This is horrible. He loved us. He's like legitimately like really sad about Henry Winkler. Everyone's like, yeah, fuck him. And they're all drunk, and they all get into our cars. And they just start fucking driving away, but he's like, what? And he's so sad. No more happy days. No more happy days. No more happy days for him. So he sits back down in the house or on the couch at that point. And where are we now? Oh, yes. So we then cut outside where Dewey and Courtney Cox are talking, and Dewey's just obviously like really fucking horny. He's all about that Cox chat, the Courtney Cox. And they're talking, having a nice night. He's getting really close. They're kind of nuzzling him for like a little smooch. But then the fucking drunk teenagers, they come down the road, and he's like, whoa, stop. And they fucking, Courtney Cox pulls Dewey, and they fall into a ditch on the side of the road. He ends up on top of her, chat, and they start having the sex chat, the David Arquette, Courtney Cox sex. Full clothes on, but there's a lot of dry humping. And then in the middle of the sexy time, Courtney Cox turns her head over and she sees, is that the car you're looking for? And it's fucking Nev Campbell's dad's car. He's like, holy fucking shit. And he goes to the car. And he's like, oh my God, Mr. Prescott never made it to the airport. I gotta get to my fucking car and radio this into the station and let everyone know. And she's like, okay, let's fucking hustle back. And so they go back at this point, and we cut to, Nev Campbell and Skeet. They have finished the sex chat. Skeet lasted for about 2.5 minutes. It's his first time, so, don't hold against him, chat. Nev Campbell seems relatively sad. She's not satisfied. Skeet's like, so, was it good for you? Anytime you have to ask, did I do good? You didn't do good. Never. I'm gonna give you the word of advice. Don't ask like, so it was good, right? Don't do that. That's self-confidence. Yeah, that you have no comments there. So true. Skeet made the skeet early. He skeeted a little too early. Yeah, but she's like, no, it was amazing. Fuck, it's like, no way. It was so good. I loved it. And she's like, I'm just thinking. Because she notices the phone. She thinks about the phone. He's like, what are you thinking about? Just like cellular phones and stuff. Because it's the 90s and cellular phones are weird. And it was adequate. That would have been great. It was amazing translation. I'm going to laugh with my friends about this later. Exactly. She's like, when you called the station, when you were at the station, I was thinking about your phone call. Like, who did you call? And he goes, I called my dad. And she goes, but your dad was there with you. Well, the thing was, I called my dad, but he didn't answer. And then the sheriff called him. Because she's thinking about the call that was made when he was still in prison by the Ghostface Killer. He's like, I'm still out here, bitch. And she goes, oh, okay. And he's like, listen, sit. Nev, you still think I'm the killer? You still think I'm the guy? She goes, no, that's not it. He's like, what do I got to do to prove to you that I'm not this person? And then she's like, oh my God, Skeet. And the Ghostface Killer's behind me. He goes, what's up, bitch? And he starts stabbing the shit out of Skeet. Oh, she's like, no, I just had sex, no. And he dies right there in the bed shed, just like, no. And he's dead. And so she's like, I gotta fucking get the hell out of here. He chases Nev Campbell all the way around the top floor of the farmhouse, Chad. She's dipping and dodging and weaving. She goes into the Shaggy's room, Chad, just fucking pot and everywhere and things. Buy a lot of hanging dolls hanging by the neck. That's a little weird. And she goes the way, she's like, can someone fucking help me? Oh my God. She's like screaming and shit. And she's coming out the window, but then the fucking Ghostface Killer's like, come here, bitch, and he grabs her, and she's like, get off me, Jesus, fucking get off me, oh my God. And he violently just lets her go. He's like, oh, hopefully she'll just fall, and she'll smack her head on the concrete below, and she'll die, out of sight, out of mind. But she lands on the back of a boat that has all this matting on it and things. All this foam, and she rolls off of it, Chad, completely fine. She looks up, and what does she see? The dead, big bosom body of Rose McGowan. She's like, no, they killed my best friend, Rose McGowan. Oh my God. And so she fucking takes off at this point because she's got to find help, and she sees the car with Kenny, who has just become a Cheeto Jabba the Hutt-like creature. At this point, he's eating way too many Cheetos, Chad. He's more Cheeto than man now. But then we then cut, and I think, yeah, at this point, yeah, she goes over there, and Kenny's like, what's wrong, Nev? What's wrong? And she's like, there's like a killer in there. She's a killer. He's like, what? And he turns around because he sees the cameras too. And who's fucking there, Chad? Jamie Kennedy. They're watching Jamie Kennedy, watching Halloween, and it's a great scene because Jamie Kennedy's drunk, and he's basically saying, Jamie Curtis, he's behind you, girl. Gotta get out of there. And the fucking Ghostface Killer's like behind him. And they're like, he's behind you. And he's like, he's behind you. So he's making the same fucking dialogue back and forth. Really, really funny. Eventually, but he just leaves. Because the Ghostface Killer, he turns and he walks away. And Nev is like, oh my God, what's going on? He's like, don't worry. I'm going to go and check to make sure that Jamie Kennedy's okay. I know the audience loves him and will forever love him. Oh, and he waddles out, Chad. Before he can waddle away, Chad gets his throat slit by the Ghostface Killer. And not blood, but Cheeto dust just erupts from him, Chad, like a volcano. You ever had those science projects in middle school? Or elementary school, when you have the volcanoes where they erupt, we had the fucking pop or whatever. It goes, oh, it's cool, all the foam and shit. Imagine that, except it's just Cheeto mixed with blood and saliva, and that's what comes out of Kenny. He's like, oh, and he falls down dead. And fucking Nev's like, oh my God. And the Ghostface Killer comes after her through the car and trying to stab the shit out of her at this point. But she sneaks out the back of the van. She fucking just is like, I got to take off running at this point. I got to get going. And she starts running. And I think David Arquette, I think he shows up and he meets with Nev. And he's like, listen, I'm going to go inside. Witness me. Thank you so much, Mr. Diaz. Thank you, good sir, for the raid. Everybody on the dance floor, raid. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, my Lord. How you doing, Mr. Diaz? Yay, twerk that booty butt. Please do it. Cheers and salute to you. Very kind, very kind. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God. But I think at this point, like, Nev, I think she takes off running. And Courtney Cox. Oh, yeah, that's the thing, yeah. Courtney Cox, she's finally, because I think David Arquette, he went inside the house and he's checking it. And by the way, John Carpenter's Halloween theme is playing throughout when he's going throughout the entire house, like looking for Nev or anyone else that's inside. Jamie Kennedy's already missing at this point. He's checking. Courtney Cox, she goes to the van. She's looking for Kenny at this point. Like, where the fuck is she? She opens up. No one's there. And instead, like, she grabs the keys. She goes to the front. And then fucking Jamie Kennedy's like, hey, man, can you help me? And she just punches the shit out of Jamie Kennedy. She's like, oh, my face. I need help. I think there's something bad going on. She just keeps fucking wailing on him. And she hits him. He fucking falls down. She turns the car on, but she's like, there's like this, looks like this film on the windshield, and she turns the windshield wipers on, and it's blood, Chad. She goes, oh my God. And she just fucking floors it, Chad, and she like runs over Jamie Kennedy's leg. He's like, oh. And then Kenny, like he slides down, still covered in Cheeto dust, going, oh. And she's like, oh my God, Kenny, I'm sorry about this, but get your fat ass off my truck. And she fucking like spins it, and Kenny's like giant engorged Cheeto body like falls off. And she just heads down this trail where Nev is like, wait, pick me up. She goes, eh! And she fucking turns, chat, and she goes like right into a tree, goes right through the fucking windshield, chat, and she gets like launched into the fucking forest. So Courtney Cox is gonna have a nice little nap for right now, chat. She gets launched right through that fucking windshield. Eventually, Nev, she runs to the house where we see Deputy Dewey, Chad, good old David Arquette, and he's like, Nev, he's like, Dewey, are you okay? He goes, not really. And he turns around, he's got a fucking knife in his back, and he falls down, Chad, dead, seemingly dead. And we see the ghost face killer, and he wipes the blood off with his glove. He's like, I'm coming for you, bitch. And she goes right into the nearby police station wagon. She goes in there and she starts locking the doors and stuff. And the Ghostface Killer's like, I have the keys. And he just fucking starts playing with her, Chad. He keeps opening them. She has to close them and everything. He's basically distracting her because he's getting in through the back of the station wagon at this point. And so he gets in there, grabs her, Chad, but she fights him off and starts punching the shit out of him. She starts to scratching and clawing and things. And she gets out of the car and she starts running up the steps at this point. Starts running up the steps, and she gets to the door, and then who's behind her, Chad? Jamie Kennedy's like, what, Nev? And she's like, get the fuck away from me. I think she grabs the gun at this point. Yeah, she grabs the David Arquette's gun. Deputy Dewey's gun went on the ground. And she's like, whoa, Nev, it's me. It's Jamie Kennedy. It's okay. I'm like America's favorite comedian. I'm Apple's most wanted. Why you be hating? And she's like, get away from me. She's like, no, I think Rose is dead. And I think all these people are dead. And then Matthew Lillard comes out of nowhere. He's like, it's Jamie Kennedy. He killed my girlfriend. And I think he killed all these other people. He's a murderer. And she's like, get both of you. Fuck off. It's like, wait. And they start banging on the fucking door together, accusing each other of being like a killer. But she locks the door, and we see upstairs, Chad. We cut upstairs, and we see a very pale-looking Skeet Ulrich, chat. And he's like, Nev. She's like, oh, my God, Skeet. And he's like, was it good for you? She goes, it was the best. He goes, yeah. And he fucking just collapses down the stairs. Collapses all the way down the fucking stairs at that point. And he's right next to her. He goes, listen, Nev, it's okay. We just give me the gun, Nev. It's all right. She's like, okay, here's the gun. It's totally fine. He's like, it's totally fine. And I think Jamie Kennedy, he comes in through the back way. He's like, listen, guys, it's all right. I think, I don't know what's going on, but I'm really confused. All right. And fucking Skeet Ulrich is like, it's okay, Jamie Kennedy. You can just die now. And he shoots him. He shoots Jamie. He goes, no. And Jimmy Kennedy falls on the ground, seemingly dead. And fucking Nev Campbell's like, what are you doing, Skeet? Oh my God. He's like, I'm the killer, Sydney. And she's like, oh, twist. Big fucking twist. It was Skeet. It was discount Johnny Depp the whole time. Who would have thunk it, chat? Blue balls make you do crazy things. And so she tries to open the door. She opens the door to escape, but who does she fucking run into, chat? Matthew Lillard. And she says, Matthew, he's like crazy and evil, and I'm very scared. And he's like, guess what? Guess what, Nev? And she's like, what? I'm the killer too, bitch. And she's like, oh my God, you guys are like an evil dynamic duo. It's true, chat. Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich are the Ghostface killer, chat. That's how they've been able to do all this fucking shit. They've just been like, hey, man, fucking tag in, tag out, do what you gotta do. Let's kill some fucking teenagers. Let's kill fucking the Fonz. Let's destroy this girl's life. And you're like, what the hell's going on at this point? It doesn't make any sense. And so eventually, they drag her into the kitchen. And because I gotta explain the motive, they need to explain everything that's been going on. Because she's a little confused. And this is when they just start dropping references to various movies. Like what inspired, like, you know, their crime spree and everything. And, you know, and we see that Skeet Ulrich, he has the voice recorder, the voice modulator thing, and that's why they all sound like this. How you doing, Sydney? You like scary movies and shit? And then Matthew Lillard does it. It's the same fucking voice. It's pretty cool. And he's like, well, let me go ahead and explain my motivation. But before we do, let's go ahead and open door number 3. And they drag out Sydney's dad, chat, Nev Campbell's dad, who's like, I'm really sad and scared now. And they're like, why the fuck are you doing this to us? He's like, I'm going to explain. Okay, I'm going to explain. You know about your mom, how she died, you know, a year ago, anniversary of her death. In a few minutes, Sydney. You know, your mom, the whore. Let me reveal something to you. Your mom was fucking every man with 2 legs in this town. And she was fucking my dad back in the day. And it was because of your mom that my mother left me. And as you know, a growing boy needs his mother. And I never forgot that. And so I planned this whole thing. I knew that you would blame Liev Schreiber for the murder, but it wasn't Liev Schreiber that did it. I'm the one that killed her after they had the sex. And she's like, whoa, big fucking reveal. It's like, who would have thought? And she's like, Matthew Lillard, why did you do all this? And he's like, I was bored. His excuse was legitimately like, I caved in the peer pressure. He's just crazy. He was just really fucking bored for one night. Never date a guy with mommy issues. Kid's the worst. It's the worst. He'll kill you and then frame you for murder. Or possibly stab you again. Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo. Where Scoob has been dead for years. He's fucking Shaggy just lost it. He broke, chap. But literally, it's just like, I think Matthew Lillard's line is, I caved in the peer pressure. I think he was just bored. I think that's what it was. And their whole plan is at this point that we are going to frame your dad for all these murders. We're going to put the voice modulator in there. The cellular phone with all the calls, going to put that in his pocket, and they push him over. But the first things first, bro. He's like, what's up, bro? This is Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard's like, bro. We gotta stab him, bro. It's like, oh, bro, gotta stab him, bro. And so fucking Skeet Ulrich just starts stabbing the shit out of Shaggy because he gotta make it look real. And fucking Skeet's like, okay, Shaggy, you go ahead and do me. He's like, oh, my tummy, okay. And he fucking stabs him. He's like, God damn it, not that hard. He's like, I'm sorry. This whole scene's brilliant. And Skeet's like, hey, man, give me the knife. Give me the knife. He's like, I don't want to give you the knife. He's like, just give me the knife. Everything's going to be fine. It's okay. Just give me the knife. He's like, okay. Gives him the knife. Goes, he's like, oh, man. Oh, God. I don't feel very good. And then at this point, Skeet's like, all right, I'm going to fucking play around with my food and Nev Campbell. You go ahead, get the gun, make sure you kill her dad. We'll go ahead and move on. He's like, cool. And so like fucking Matthew Lillard like waddles over the table where he left the gun. Gun is gone. He's like, hey, dude. Hey, man. He's like, what? What's going on? What's up? The gun's gone. He said, what do you mean the fucking gun is gone? It's like, I put it right here, man. And oh, I don't know where it went. And he's like, oh, motherfucker. And so we want to find the gun. And so they go down the hallway where they see Courtney Cox, chat. She's a little bit derpy now because she fucking hit a tree with her face. And she's like, I know where you guys are. She's a little cross-eyed from this point on. He's like, how about this? How about this fucking twist ending? Ace reporter comes in and shoots the 8 gentlemen who are responsible for everything that happened here tonight. And they're like, oh, she can't see very well anymore. And they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna shoot us? She goes, your ass I will. And she tries to fire the gun, but Skeet Ulrich just fucking walks up and goes, punches her in the face, and she fucking collapses into Deputy Dewey, chat, right at crotch level. And he goes, you know, it would help if you take the safety off, bitch. And he goes back inside. Matthew Lillard's just like, I think I'm dying. I don't feel very good. And they go into the kitchen, and Nev Campbell is gone. She fucking took off. And they're like, where the fuck did she go? Where the fuck did she go? And they hear the phone starts ringing, and they pick up the phone. Skeet Ulrich, she's like, hello? And they hear it. Do you like scary movies? And he's like, you fucking bitch. She's like, I'm going to tell you a really scary story about a girl who's going to fuck these 2 guys who are messing with her and her friends. And he's like, oh, I'm going to fucking kill you. Where the fuck are you? And he's freaking out, Chad. He's like tearing apart the house. Meanwhile, Shaggy, he just sits down because he just starts coughing up blood. And he's like, I think I need to go to the hospital. I think you cut me really deep. And Skeet Ulrich comes back because he just freaks out and he throws the phone at Matthew Lillard. And this is an improvised line check because Matthew was actually hit by the phone in the head. And he goes, oh, man, you throw a phone at me. That fucking hurt, you dick. Which is an improvised line. Oh, yeah, he also says, my mom and dad are going to be so mad at me. Very pissed. Eventually, though, because fucking Matthew Lillard is like passing out because of blood loss. Skeet Ulrich, he goes to a closet, chat, opens a closet where Sidney is dressed as the Ghostface killer and just starts stabbing the shit out of him with an umbrella, chat. She's pulling an Oswald Cobblepot, chat, pulling a penguin on his ass, and she starts to stab him with an umbrella. He's like, oh. And he gets fucking gets knocked the fuck out. He gets knocked the fuck out at this point. And he just like falls down. And she takes off. She's like, how about that fucking ending? But then Matthew Lillard, he gets up. He's like, oh, I'm going to get you. And he starts chasing her around the entire house, chat, until they're tripping over themselves in the living room. And he falls over. And he's like, oh, and he's right below the TV. And she's like, welcome to prime time, bitch. He's like, oh, and she fucking pushes the TV on top of his head. Glass just shatters on him, Chad, and he just fries him, Chad, and he's fucking dead. He's fucking dead. And eventually she goes back into the kitchen where Skeet Ulrich, he fucking slaps the shit out of her. He drags her and just starts choking her on the ground. And she's like, but then fucking Courtney, it's Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox, she comes in, she goes, hey, thanks for telling me about the safety. Bob, boom, and she blasts him, shit. He's like, ugh. Yeah, blasts him at that. Oh, no, I think it's Jamie Kennedy. Jamie Kennedy's the one that I think helps get Skeet Ulrich off of Sidney, off of Nev Campbell. Then Courtney Cox comes in there and blasts good old the Skeetster off of both of them. He falls back. He's like, thanks for telling me about the safety. And Nev Campbell's like, Jamie, I thought you were dead. He's like, I thought so too. I figure I would be like one of the first people to die, but I did not. And so then they crowd around the body of Skeet Ulrich, chat. And Jamie Kennedy's like, well, and like we see Sidney. She takes the gun from Courtney Cox, and she nudges the Skeet Ulrich's leg with her foot. And then Jamie's like, now this is oftentimes the part where the killer will miraculously wake up and try to get one last scare. And we see Skeet Ulrich go, boo! And right when he does that shit, Nev Campbell goes, boom! Shoots him right in the head, domes him, chat. And she's like, not in my fucking movie. And it's like, and that is the death, chat, of discount Johnny Depp, the Skeetster. Skeets Ulrich, chat. And so after that, it's like early in the morning. We learn that Deputy Dewey did indeed survive, chat, the stabbing. He's being put into an ambulance. He's okay. Courtney Cox, she starts doing her report. We hear 90s-esque rock and roll punk music, chat, and a thunderclap, and Scream comes on the screen, chat. And that, my friends, is my scene by scene by scene by scene breakdown of the 1996 slasher Wes Craven directed classic, chat, Scream. I hope you enjoyed it. Full price. I would give this movie a full price, maybe even a high full price. It's just that fun and entertaining, chap. High full price movie. Nev Campbell missed her mark on the second shot. Stabski for real. Stab. Oh, really? Oh, no. I didn't know that. Oh, no. Boo. Oh, look, this will never happen. It's like, this is a one and done. Never happen again. 4 out of 5 cum Ulrich Skeets. Yay. Glad you like it. Look, boss. Well, one thing they don't explain, but it's implied earlier, is that they killed Drew Barrymore because she dumped Shaggy. Oh, that's right. That's correct. I guess they do imply that because he dated her for like, as he said, I dated her for like 2 minutes or something, and that's probably why they killed her, because she ended that relationship, broke up with him. That's a good point. That's a good point, Luke the Boss. Good one. Makes sense. They actually, a lot of the stuff connects. When you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, it connects. That connects with this. Yeah. And they keep expanding on it later on in the franchise, and like they bring back, I mean, I won't talk about it now, but you find out who the Ghostface killer is in the sequel. It's like, oh, it's directly tied into this movie. It's like, oh, cool. And three does some weird retconning, but you got all that. Oh, Lord. Greetings and salutations. Well done, Mr. Herman Blackstone. Thank you so much. An absolute pleasure to have you here right now. Wu-Tang Clan. America Moist Wanted. It's not an 80s horror classic, but I think it's, I think it's the best of those, though. It takes the best of those 70s and 80s horror films and analyzes them and deconstructs them, and I think creates a really entertaining horror comedy. Like, I think Scream is definitely one of the greatest. The original Scream, I like Scream 2 a lot, but the original Scream, I mean, it's definitely one of the greatest slasher films of all time, I would say. 3 was supposed to be something. It was supposed to be a movie. Yes. Oh, that's right. They changed a whole bunch of stuff for Scream 2. No wonder Tatum, Rose, thought Ghostface was Stu. It actually was. It was. She was correct. The scream Skeet did on the second shot was real. Craven left it in because it's Craven. Of course he does. Nice. Very nice. Yeah. How about one? Scream is the best 90s slash. Oh, yeah, definitely. No, of like that era, of that decade, that's by far the best horror slasher. There were so many knockoffs. I think that's the reason why maybe Scream is not, I mean, it's obviously well remembered and respected, but I think why its legacy was slightly tarnished, not of its own fault, not the fault of Wes Craven either. It was just because you had so many fucking knockoffs of it. They were trying to capitalize on that film's success and that film's originality. Everyone else tried to do the same thing and then it became unoriginal, sadly. America was one. On that note, I found a mod in Skyrim that makes it a campy 80s horror game. Oh, cool. Haven't played it yet, but going to see. Oh, that's awesome. Osnick, have you ever seen the video where they break down who is who, when is Shaggy? No, that's not who is the Skeetster. Skeeter. Doug Funny's best friend. No, I have not. No, that'd be cool though. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, these fans have just all figured it out. Yeah. This movie screen. Oh, it's very 90s. I mean, they mentioned like a cellular phone. Yes, we knew about your dad's cellular phone. I think that's part of the charm, though. It's quaint. It's quaint. Zoinks! Mid-air run. It kind of does do that. Yeah, he's perfectly cast as a live-action Shaggy. And as Shaggy, when he voices him, he's been voicing him for about 20 years now. Yeah. Scary movie, a spoof Scream, which is funny because Scream was supposed to be called Scream. Yeah, that's right. Yep. True. Honk, honk. And then you would have known it was Skeet the whole time. The Skeetster. Chat. I hope you enjoyed that review. Seems a lot of you did. Thank you so much. Oh, this one I promise will be on the YouTube channel, chat. This is a makeup review. And I'll be doing Scream 2 tomorrow. So the Scream saga shall continue. And then after that, I'll eventually be doing John Carpenter's Halloween, keeping up the slashers. And then shall be moving on to the Boo Madea Halloween series, chat. Boo 1 and Boo 2, which should be fun. I hope you liked it. I've done a review for Lake Placid. I think that is on my YouTube channel right now, my Lake Placid review. But chat, please give me a moment as I make a few adjustments. We're going to switch over to Alan Wake Remastered. I need to get a drink, chat, so stick around. I'll be right. Have I done the craft? I have not done the craft. Let's see here. Do I have that on the list? Maybe I have it on the list. The Craft. It is on the list, so I'll review that someday. Make for a fun review, no doubt about it. But chat, in the meantime, please entertain yourselves amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Stick around, you crazy kids. I shall return. I'll be right back, bitch.